Hey, what's up guys? So no, this isn't a clickbait title at all. It's the truth. With one specific lens, I made $25,000 in my first year of photography ever. And again, this isn't a boasting moment. I've had quite the journey leading into photography. Pretty much for 10 years, literally 10 years, from age 22 to 32, I got paid $0 from anything I ever created, whether it was something that I wrote, anything that I directed or acted in, anything. And then I picked up a camera and then things just kind of clicked. See what I did there? Clicked. So I guess the more interesting video would be how. So if you comment and you want to know how I kind of made that money, just let me know. And if this video gets a lot of traction, because there are some secrets there, and if it gets a lot of comments, maybe I'll make another video on specifically how. And if you do street photography, you can kind of translate those skills to other things to make money. So, all right, now let me get into the what. It is the Fujifilm 35mm f2, which is a 50mm full frame equivalent. And this bad boy is my money maker. I use it for all my paid gigs. Anything that involves money, I'm using this. Ironically, I actually don't use this outside of that. In my personal work, traveling, I actually like the wider focal lengths, 35, maybe even a 28 full frame equivalent. But when it comes to money, this is it. Why does this make me money? So in my early photography career, I had the potential to make some money, and I bought this lens and the images were just popping. I had no idea why. And people were like, oh my gosh, Jay, you're like a natural. You're a really good photographer. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. Like, I have no idea what I did. But I kind of have an idea of storytelling, things like that. But how to make a great image, I was like, I don't know. And later on, I found out it just has really great micro contrast. And I did more research on the lens, and thanks to the angry photographer, who's just awesome, I get all my information from him. But basically micro contrast is literally that. It's contrast on the microest, smallest, macroest. Pretty much when it comes to light and dark, it gives you every shade in between, rather than just going light to dark really quick. And giving all those shades in between, that contrast on a micro level, that's what makes things pop. So all my images were just like, and I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And another thing is the autofocus speed. The autofocus speed is just really quick, very snappy. And what I found out that I like, just a personal taste in my photographs, is I like movement. I like things to look natural, hence, you know, my street photography background. So when I do paid work, I like to give people or things activities, because it just makes a certain authenticity or some kind of realness to the image. And with this f2, I can just boom, 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 capture and lock on really quick. So it just gets that image perfect. And then there's another thing, and I think the most important thing that I didn't even realize was helping me out, was the f2 aperture. It's not a 1.2 or 1.4 or anything. That f2 helped me out not only in the short term of the monetary means, which was just giving me a little bokeh, some separation to make things look nice, but in the long term as a photographer, it helped me out so much more. Because I wasn't able to just blur the hell out of everything, just bokeh the fuck out of my images, I actually had to properly compose something. I actually had to look at leading lines. I had to make sure everything was nice and perfect, make sure there was no trash or any kind of people walking about around the subject. So I had to actually compose the image. Personally, this is, you know, my opinion, but this 1.2, I actually have the portrait lens. It's kind of a one-trick pony. It does one trick really well, but to me it's kind of a cheap trick, because if you can just shoot everything wide open, you don't really tell a more balanced story with what is going on with the subject as well as what's going on around them. You can just blur everything out and just focus on the subject. And in my personal opinion, I think it's a far better story if you can kind of match context with subject. But again, that's just me. This lens pretty much kind of launched my career, actually. I booked my first campaign with this lens. I got my first cover of a magazine, an 8-page spread with this lens. I captured a street photography image that pretty much gave me an idea to do a photo exhibit. And I actually did a street photo with it that got nominated for a World Street Photography book. I don't know when they're gonna announce if I got in or not, but I think that's coming up soon. But anyways, this is it, man. This is my moneymaker. I love this lens. It's perfect. I'm actually interested in what you guys kind of shoot, what genre and what lens you use that makes you the most money, just because there's different genres out there that, you know, aren't going to use this at all. They're like, hell no. But for me, it's actually perfect. So yeah, leave a comment, man. I would just love to see what you guys have to say. As always, be cool, be nice, be positive, be sex. All right, peace.